Hey, welcome back to Python MC. I'm your Python MC coach, Richard Ashe, and this is part 2 of the final project. In this section, we're going to show you what you should have done in part 1, which is just make comments in the code to explain, what's going on. And then we're going to show you what you can do to play around with the code a little bit. So here we go. Let's just explain what happened top to bottom, what's happening top to bottom in the code. So we've already explained what's happening here. This is just simply creating variables, and the value is a list. In this case, it's a collection of beats. So we have hip hop beats. We create a list for that. We put in a bunch of hip hop beats there. We create a variable called dubstep beats, and we put in a bunch of beats for dubstep in a list. You can tell it's a list because of the brackets. And then techno beats, we create a list of beats called techno beats. Same thing, just a bunch of techno beats. And then we create a function. We're just getting familiar with functions. Remember, the key word here in functions is def. Okay? And when we say def, that means Python's expecting us to create a brand new function, a brand new recipe. And we create a function that's called playbeats with 2 parameters, beats and tempo. And so you can see def play beats, and in parentheses beats and tempo. And beats and tempo, these are just placeholders. This is like when you're making a recipe for a hamburger, you say, def hamburger, and then the parentheses would be type of meat, and then the other parameter would be temperature. So it could be, I got a hamburger recipe, but later I'm going to pass it the meat, which could be beef, or it could be turkey, or it could be like a veggie burger. The temperature could be medium rare, well done. And those are different values I can pass it. So this is my parameters are just like placeholders for something I'm going to tell it to do later. So values I'm going to give it later. So I can reuse the same recipe, but I can give it different ingredients. In this case, the different ingredients here, the parameters are beats and tempo. So it sets the tempo using the setTempo built-in function, and then uses the parameter tempo. So the parameter right here, tempo, and I'm going to get a value later for that. So just use the built-in EarSketch setTempo function. The value is tempo, the parameter is tempo. We're going to create a variable called track, and we're going to set it to 1. It's going to equal 1. So track equals 1. Then we're going to create a variable called start and set it to 1. So start equals 1. Then we're going to create a variable called end and set it to 30. So end equals 30. So the next bit is we're going to create a for loop. See right here. For each beat and beat. We know that's a for loop, and it's looping through a list. In this case, it's a list of beats. Whatever list we get when we call the function, which is beats, with this parameter beats. So we're going to create a for loop that loops over the list called beats with a variable in the for loop called each beat. So for each beat in beats, okay, so this is going to loop through whatever list of beats we get when the function's called, and later we're going to call that function with either hip hop beats, dubstep beats, or techno beats. We're going to reuse the same recipe, but we're going to give it different beats each time. So for each beat in beats, so it's going to loop through each beat in that list, and it's going to use fit media to place each beat using the variables start, track, and end that we just created up here. So fit media, each beat, track, start, and end. That's just the built-in function in EarSketch, and so that allows me to play the beat as long or as short as I want. So I can contract it and stretch it out. Then we're going to increase the variable track by 1. Track plus equals 1. We're going to increase the variable start by 4. So this is inserting the beat to the next track, pushing out the start of that track by 4 measures. So start plus equals 4. Okay. And then increase the variable end by 4. Okay. So end plus equals 4. Then we're going to create a variable called request and use read input to tell the user to choose the beats. And so request equals read input, choose the beats, hip hop, dubstep, or techno. So that's just going to create a variable And then later, when I run the program, it's going to create a prompt to ask the user to choose the beats, and the user has to type in hip hop, dubstep, or techno. So it's going to say if request equals hip hop. So what's this doing is it's checking to see if the user chose or typed in hip hop. Then it's going to play equals read input. I will play hip hop beats, press play, OK. So it's just going to use this read input function to say, just to tell the user that I'll play hip hop. This is just a way to give a notification back to the user and allow them to confirm. Then it's going to call the function we created, play beats, with the arguments or values of hip hop beats and the value, the beats equals hip hop beats. So I'm just going to make that a little bit clearer by going there. Beats equals hip hop beats and tempo equals 100. And so then I'm going to use that function that I created up here, and then I'm going to play beats. I'm going to set the beats parameter to beats equals hip hop beats and tempo equals 100. Now, to be clear, if I, when I run functions, I don't actually need to tell it beats equal. I can actually just pass it these values, and then when it plays beats, it just knows, okay, well, this is the first value I got was hip hop beats, so I'm going to put that there, and the second value I got was tempo, so I'm going to, it was 100, so I'm going to put that in the tempo variable. But just to make this more readable, because I know you're just getting used to this stuff, we're going to just go ahead and use beats equal hip hop beats and tempo equals 100. It's just an easier way for you to realize what's happening in the code. So now, if the user did not choose hip hop, because remember, conditionals go top to bottom. So it goes if, elif, else. The first condition says, well, if the user did not choose hip hop, then check to see if the user chose dubstep. So in this case, it says elif, if, elif, else. So elif request equals dubstep. So the way to remember that is, does it really equal? It uses two equals because we're not assigning a variable, we're testing the value of this variable request. Then we're going to tell the user that you'll play dubstep. So we're just going to sort of use a little bit of a hack with read input, where we are just giving a notification confirming that this is what we're going to do. It's just giving you the chance to say plus OK to play. And this is just sort of a way to give a notification back to the user. Then call the function we created, play beats, with the arguments or values of beats equals dubstep beats and tempo equals 100. So I'm going to play the beats. In this case, because they chose dubstep, I'm going to set the beats to equal dubstep beats and tempo equals 100. And if the user did not choose hip hop or dubstep, then tell the user that I'll play techno, play equals read input. I will play techno, press OK to play, so it's just going to give that notification, allow them to hit OK before it starts. And then it's going to call this function one more time, play beats, with the arguments rather, the arguments of the function, or the values that you're passing to it are beats equal techno beats and tempo equals 120. You can see play beats is called again, beats equals techno beats, tempo equals 120. So that's what your comments should look like at the end of this. That's how you'd explain this code. So that is the sort of low floor. Now, high ceiling is, let's start to get creative, and maybe you agree with Eminem and no one listens to techno anymore. So you say, you know what, I don't want techno beats. I want, trap beats. And then I'm going to change my code, and then down here so that it checks for trap beats and says, else tell the user that you'll play trap. And then I'm going to change this so I'll play trap. And then we're going to set the beats in here to equal trap beats. Oops. And I'm going to update my comments so that it's consistent. So beats equals trap beats. And then I'll probably put the trap is probably going to be a bit slower, right? So it's going to set that tempo to equal 100. And then up here, now I got to go in here. I'm going to update this whole list in here of beats. I'm going to delete all that stuff. And now I'm going to go in here. Let's see, I'm going to go into my sound browser. Do I have anything for trap? Let me go. Let's see what we've got going on. yeah, we got hip hop trap beat. So I'm just going to go boom, right there, boom, right there. I don't know what this is going to sound like, by the way. I haven't been playing around with this. I'm going to just put in a bunch of trap beats. And now I can start to get creative. Let's see if this runs. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to try, oops, well, I didn't actually update this because it still says techno when I, with my variable here, it just says, please choose the beats, hip hop, dubstep. I got to say trap. Okay. And then it's going to do the same test for hip hop and dubstep. And then I'm going to play trap down here. Let's try it again. It says, okay, I'm going to play trap. Okay, I'm going to play trap. Plus okay to play. Let's see what it sounds like. This could be horrible. No promises. Alright. It's not bad so far. I'm not the best music producer you've ever seen. But actually, maybe I'm not that bad. This is starting to sound pretty good. Alright. So now you can get in there and play with it yourself, okay? Try to figure this out. Have fun with it. Mess around with it. And now you'll go away and really create this, make it your own. You might want to set effects in here. So maybe you want to set effect, set effect, and I go in here and I can look up set effects, and I can go every effect explained in detail. And maybe that means I'll go in here and I'll set a distortion on my first track. And I'll say, or delay. So I'll say delay, and let's see, I have no idea what I'm doing, just copying in this effect and just going to play around with it. And I'm going to set that delay effect, let's see what that even sounds like. This is sort of the wide walls where you can start to get creative. So I've just went into the book down here and just looked up every effect explained. When I say I don't know what I'm doing, it's just because you can just copy the code for the effects, and you can really just mess around with it, and just figure out what sounds good in your track. Now there's a lot of stuff in here. There's delays, distortions. You can do a filter, and you can spend hours and days and days and days and days just trying to figure out what the effects are. But what I suggest is just copy the example, and then what you want to do is just play with the values. So you can see in that example, the top value is 20,000 and the minimum value is 20, and the code in here has 1,200. And I'm going to go ahead and give this 2,500. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what this even sounds like. I'm going to go trap. And see what that even sounds like. I'm going to go track, and now it's got this new effect on track 1. What is that? Whoa. It's kind of weird. I'm not totally sure if that works. I would argue maybe it doesn't. So you gotta mess around with this and make it your own. And that's the wide walls. Start to get creative. Have a lot of fun with this. This is where you can take everything that you've learned about variables, loops, conditions, and functions, and be a music producer using code. And that's what it's all about here at Python MC. Get into it, have fun with it, and I hope you had a great time. See you again.